Now, women, like wine, get better with time. And in honor of this month's Women's Month, Wine Cellar Fine Wine Merchants is celebrating female excellence. Now, they've curated an insider's case that includes a 6-bottle selection to take the guesswork out of buying wine. To tell us more about this exciting initiative is winemaker and merchant Gillette Steyn. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Before we get into your journey as a winemaker in South Africa, talk to us about this initiative and really what it does to celebrate women this Women's Month.
Thanks for having me, Rokwa. So at Wine Cellar started early in the 2000s, and the important thing for Women's Month is to continue to celebrate women and women in wine, even more than the other 11 months of the year. And so every year we curate a special case. We have an insider's pack, a value pack, to kind of help people explore wine and the different tiers we have and offer. And then in August, for Women's Month, we look at some of the trailblazers, some of the more established winemakers, and also new and upcoming female winemakers. And it's really heartening to see that every year there are just more and more people to choose from.
It is very encouraging, and it's women that we have to choose from, which is very encouraging. But yourself, you're a winemaker yourself. What made you decide to get into what we've predominantly known to be a male-dominated industry that is controlled by families that have had decades within the winemaking industry? What got you involved?
So initially, I loved art, I love languages, and I love math and chemistry. And so it was almost on a whim. I'm from Joburg, I'm from Gauteng, to start studying winemaking, because I figured I would get, be outside in the vineyards, work with lots of people, be able to travel. And that's kind of how it started. I think wine is it's a liquid art form, and it tells stories. I love reading. And so I just thought it's a really beautiful way to be in nature, but also interact with people. And wine goes really well with food. And yeah, I love eating. So that was kind of how it started.
Yeah. I mean, surely it wasn't a journey that was not without many challenges. What would you recognize as some of the biggest challenges, and really for someone watching, interested in getting into the industry, how you dealt with those challenges?
So I think the biggest challenges, back in the day, like you said, it was more established old families that were in the wine industry. So there are small ones along the way. I think for women, and that would be in the industry in South Africa and the world, there is still some gender bias and stereotyping. And the big thing, I think, is, to just to work really hard. People say work smart, and you should, but you just work really hard, because I think finally when you do a very good job, that can't be negated or not looked at. So working really hard and not being afraid to ask for advice, see what other people have done, and just kind of be brave and bold and try to just do it. Nike said it best, but I would say just don't be afraid or shy to be yourself and go out there and do the thing.
Yeah, what about the resources, Gillette? Do you find that there was a lack of funding for not only yourself, but perhaps other young women who wanted to break into the industry?
Yes, definitely in the past, it was the bigger estates. And if you wanted to make wine, you have to establish vineyards, you have to build a cellar, you have to buy all the equipment for the cellar, labels, bottles, all of those things are really expensive. What has happened in the past, let's say 10, 15 years, which is really great for all people looking to start making wine or small wine producers, is it's almost the Airbnb Uber model. You can buy grapes, you don't have to own the vineyards, you can rent cellar space. So you can start really small and kind of conservatively, and then go from there and grow from there. And there's been lots of initiatives as well, like the CWG with their mentorship and the internship program, the proteges, where you just get more and more people, give them the opportunity to work with great winemakers, to learn from them, and then be able to start a brand like that as well.
Yeah, what is it that you love the most about being a winemaker, Gillette? And I'm thinking it might be the tasting, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think mostly people think it's when you make wine or you sell wine, there's a lot of tasting and drinking involved. And to a certain extent there is. I really love the people. I think with wine, it's one of the biggest collaborations that you can have, because from the grape growing to the wine making to the selling, there are so many people involved, and so it's really your colleagues, and they become your family because you spend so much time with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a group effort together to finally see their dream realized, and that wine in the bottle that you can show people, and it's a story of the past year and of everybody's hard work. Yeah, I think that's the best thing for me.
Yeah. With your experience as a merchant as well, Gillette, have you found that the taste that people enjoy in wine has changed over the recent years? What are you finding are the most popular tastes that are popular amongst those who enjoy wine, buying it and enjoying it with different meals?
I think historically in South Africa, definitely wines were a bit larger, maybe a bit thicker, higher alcohol, and that trend has changed. It's the pendulum. It swings from the one extreme to the other, and eventually it settles in the middle. So, in generally speaking, I think people enjoy lighter style reds and whites as well. But the most important thing is the story. People love to hear where it comes from, who made it, how did they make it. So I think with a lot of craft projects, you look at craft beer, craft gin, bakers, all of that, artisans really, people really care about where it came from. I think rosé is a big thing. Obviously, maybe not today. It's really cold in the Cape, but that's really grown as a style of wine in South Africa, and more people are drinking it, women and men. And also lighter style reds, I would say, that you can drink, a bit chilled down.
Mm-hmm. And then what about the future of the wine cellar, Gillette? Is this something that you want to take beyond South Africa's borders, something that you want to introduce to other parts of the continent, to be like, these are our women winemakers that are really trailblazing the industry?
Yes, definitely. I think, for South Africa, generally, for winemakers in the Cape, the biggest market would be Joburg. And then after that, it goes, normally overseas to London or Europe. And I think Africa is a really big kind of untapped market. And also to tell the stories and meet the women in those areas that there are some wine producing, but also wine shops that are doing really well all across. And that would be a great dream to kind of build that awareness and build that love and that passion for wine and food across the continent, for sure.
Yeah. A final one from you, Gillette. Which is your favorite kind of wine? And what advice would you give to a young woman who's watching today saying, I think that the wine industry is for me?
Wow. So first of all, my favorite wine, at the moment, I really like red wines. Just, it's nice for winter. And I think there's a wine by Natasha Williams from Lely van Saron. She makes a beautiful new range jade. That's a Syrah and Petit Syrah blend. That is amazing, really delicious. And I think for wine novices or wine experts, really amazing. And as for the advice, people saying it's true. You must dream big and do the thing. But I think most importantly, what I've seen is start. No matter how you start, if you start small, if you're not 100% sure about the name or the label, but just start. So again, Nike has it right, just do it. And again, don't be afraid to ask for advice. And I think seek out other people. The important thing in the wine industry and for women as well is to find mentors and look for mentors and work together.
Thank you very much for your time this morning. It's been an absolutely insightful conversation with winemaker and merchant Gillette Steyn. Really trying to stop myself from thinking about having a nice glass of red wine after the show based on that conversation. But there she says it. You have to dream big, and there is nothing that one can't do if you don't put your mind to it.